Howard Leese on the phone with me.
Hello.
How's it going with you these days?
Pretty well, thank you. Very nice.
Working hard?
Hardly working.
Uh,
I'm about to have a busy summer, so right now I'm kind of laying low. But I'm getting ready. I go to England on the 23rd of March to do a big Bad Company tour.
what Bad Company were you guys promoting now? Still working on tours and stuff?
Well, we did 10 shows in America last year with the Doobie Brothers opening for us, and it was really successful. And so they decided to do a short tour in England only, and so it's just 8 shows in England, and the final one is April 11th at Wembley in London. And our live DVD came out yesterday, and it's number 4 in England already. You know, it debuted at number 4 in England, the Bad Company live DVD. So we're going to play for a little while.
Would you say throughout all your years with the guitar tones and stuff, today you're using different equipment or still dedicated to the same?
Yeah, I probably use even a little less now because when I play with Paul, it's really old school. You know, we don't have any digital anything. It's just a guitar, 3 stacks of Marshalls, and a chord, pretty much. It's real basic. We set up pretty much like Free did in 1968. Big amps, everything's analog, everything's live. It's fun.
Do you play in stereo or mono through these 3 amps?
I'm running 2. One stack's a spare, and I'm running 2 full stack 100-watt Marshall stacks, and I run them in stereo, yeah.
And how loud is that on stage for you? Do you crank it like at 10?
No, they're not on 10, but you have to turn them up over halfway to get them to start to have that thump that you need to play hard rock. But it's pretty loud, but the cool thing with our band now is Paul and Lynn, the bass player, who are the other people on stage with me, they have in-ears. So they're wearing those in-ear things, so they don't really hear the stage volume. So I can make the monitors and my amps pretty much sound however I want it to sound because they're hearing their own mix in their ear monitors. So it doesn't matter if I play loud, it's good.
So I'm sure the audience likes that loud stage
volume.
volume.
You want to play so they can hear it, not just from the PA, but right off the stage. People in front want to get it right in the face, so that's what I do.
What's your favorite Bad Company track to do these days?
Wow.
That you really enjoy?
Wow, let's see, because we're doing a couple of Bad Company songs that have never been played before, which is kind of neat. We do Sweet Little Sister, which is fun to play. That was never played live. And we're doing another one, I can't think of the name of it right now, that's a kind of a moody, almost jazzy song that we've been playing live. Rock and Roll Fantasy is always fun. Can't Get Enough is fun. Mick and I do the twin guitar solos in that one, and that's a real easy, fun to play party song. Simple Man is really fun because, again, it's really moody, and Paul just sings his butt off on that one. They're all kind of fun. The Bad Company songs are fun to play.
You guys go on tour and fly to your gigs and come back, or is it a constant tour with a lot of bookings booked up?
No, we're just flying to England. We're going to do a BBC TV thing. Then we're going to rehearse for a couple of days, and we start up in the north in Manchester, I believe, and play our way down. We'll drive from city to city and play our 8 shows. We finish in London, and then the following morning, my wife and I are flying off to Rome to have a little vacation in Italy.
Going to your Heart career, I mean, you made a lot of great albums with Heart. Barracuda, what was your feeling when that song came out?
Well, we love the song. You know, the band really worked hard on that song because there's a lot of unusual time signatures, and it took us quite a while to get where we could play it right. And the record is very, very live. What you hear on the record is our band playing live pretty much. Not very much was added to that track. That's how the band sounded. And I just thought it was a really good hard rock track. I didn't think that it would be a single, like be a hit single song, but as it turns out, it's ended up being our most enduring song. It's sort of our signature song. I'm real proud of that because that's really exactly how we sounded.
And you got also the Barracuda Pedal?
My flanger, yeah. Well, these guys came to me, these scientist guys, and they wanted to know if I still had the old flanger from the 70s, and I did, and so they said, we want to get that sound, that exact Barracuda sound. So I gave it to them, and they opened it up, and they went, "Oh, brother, all the components were all obsolete. You know, it was all 70s, low-tech, high-tech." So, but they spent about a year and just tried to duplicate the sound of it with modern components, and I think they did a real nice job. It sounds really good. So, yeah, that was kind of fun little project to do on the side.
Like that old pedal, you're still using it today, or is it retired?
The original one is retired, yeah.
Do you use your new equipment also, like this Barracuda pedal? Is that part of your stage sound
yeah,
too?
Yeah, it is. On Bad Company, I don't use it as much. I use a chorus pedal for my clean guitar sound, but I sometimes use the chorus and the flanger. The flanger is good for my heavy rock sound. I use that more on the Paul Rodgers solo gigs. I have a little bit more elaborate setup because it's just one guitar generally. So yeah, I use it more on the Paul Rodgers gigs, and I just use a chorus pedal, and that's how I split into stereo off the chorus pedal, and then go to the 2 amps.
How did you team up with Paul Rodgers in the first place?
Well, it was really kind of a funny deal. I was playing with my own little fun band in Seattle because Hart wasn't touring very much, so I had a band together, just going out and playing little clubs for fun, 3 stacks of Marshalls in a club, and playing all the heavy 70s rock, Deep Purple, and we did a lot of old Free. And around the same time, Paul moved from England to Canada, up to Vancouver, Canada, and started looking around in the Northwest for a new band so he wouldn't have to bring his English band over to the States every time he wanted to start playing again. So they just happened to see us in a club, and there we were playing Paul's music. And I had taught the guys how to play it properly because Free was my favorite band. I was a big fan of the band. I knew the music pretty intimately, and I taught them how to play it the right way. Less is more. And they saw us, and they hired the whole band. We just had to give our singer the bad news. He'd been replaced by Paul Rodgers. And Paul had a new band, and I've been with him now for 11 years.
And also you make part of Bad Company. That's great.
Yeah, it's fun. He's great to play with. I mean, he's such a wonderful singer, and he never sings it the same way twice, and he always wants to change the show, and he's always working to make it better. He really cares about putting on the best show we possibly can. So he makes it challenging, and that's what I like. I like it to be, like to work at a high level.
When you started your career, how many hours did you practice a day?
I was just talking to my son yesterday. I said, I'd played 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That's all I did. I went to school, but all I did was play. And then I had band practice every day after school for many years, getting better with playing with other people. It takes a lot of hours, I think, to get command of your instrument. So, it's not that easy. It's a pretty challenging instrument.
And eventually in the 90s, you're on the Lita Ford album also, Dangerous Curves. Where's the connection there?
Well, Lita and I have been friends for years and years, and she was doing that record, and her producer was Tom Werman. He had worked with Motley Crue a lot, and Vince Neil and I were good friends, and so he knew who I was. And Lita and I were friends, and they said, let's call me up and have me come over and play on a song. And it's funny because the drummer on that song is Pat Benatar's drummer, Myron Grumbacher. And Myron is in my new solo band, my little fun band that I play around here in L.A. with. So we played together on that Lita Ford song, which was nominated for a Grammy, actually, that one song we played on together. Only time we ever recorded together, now we're playing together again.
And did you tour with Lita Ford as well?
I did a couple of shows here in L.A. We did a couple things in Hollywood, but I never have gone on tour with her, no. Never been part of her real band.
Now, going right back to the beginning, how did you join Heart? Like, this is around, 75?
Yeah, 75, September 75. It's weird, too, because I joined Paul on the exact same date, on September 27th.
Really?
Both bands I joined on the same date. Isn't that weird?
That's an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah. Well, I was working, me and my partner, Mike Flicker, we grew up together here in L.A., and we moved to Vancouver, and we were running a studio up there, and we had a small label started, and we were looking for people to produce, and he played drums, and I played everything else, and we did lots of different records, and Hart was a club band in Vancouver. They were playing up there, and somebody spotted him in a club. We went over and saw him and started working with him, and about a year later, we started making Dreamboat Annie, and I was I wasn't in the band at the time, but I was the house player. I did all the things that people didn't do, so I was brought in at first just to write the orchestra parts for the orchestra and conduct the strings for some of the songs, and then eventually they had me do some of the guitar solos, and then I did the keyboard solos. And as we got closer to finish it, I did more and more stuff. But so then after that came out and started getting on the radio in Canada, they asked me to join.
What's your most memorable album to record in your career?
That first one was fun. I think Dog and Butterfly was great because we were recorded in Seattle in a little bitty studio, and we had it set up so we could sit out back in the parking lot with long cords and long headphone cords, and we could sit out in the sunshine in Seattle in the summertime and play a lot of those tracks. The drummer was inside, of course, but the rest of the band was outside, and we had our cars in there. And this was our fourth album, and they had all been big successes. And the fourth, when we put the fourth one out, all four of them were still on the top 200. But when we did Dog and Butterfly, that was we really had reached the point where we had pretty much complete artistic control. We could do really whatever we wanted to, and really tried to make an excellent record. So I remember that just being fun, going to work every day for that one.
So basically, you'd record out in the sun with your extension cords.
Yeah, we'd sit outside in the parking lot. Yeah, it was great.
With a headset.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. You don't hear that much often.
The amp was inside with the drummer, and Ann was inside singing, but all the guitars and the bass were outside.
Wow, that's cool. Of course, it wasn't in the heart of winter in Canada.
No, that was in Seattle by then, and it was the middle of summer. It was nice. It was real nice.
I'm sure it was. What's your take on the 80s heart and the 70s heart? 70s drifts more towards Led Zeppelin-ish type of influence?
Yeah, real different sounding players. Michael DeRozier, the drummer in the 70s band, has a real unique style, very John Bonham influenced. So that band just had a unique sound. In fact, I've been talking to a couple the three other guys that want to get together and play, the four of us as the original band, the band that recorded Barracuda and all those things. And so we might get together next up in Seattle to jams, because I haven't played with those guys in 25 or 30 years, something like that. So, and then in the 90s band, 80s band was a different thing. It was a little harder edged, especially live. We were pretty heavy live. We had better vocals. I personally enjoy the 80s records, I think, more, but I'm proud of both bands, just like being in two different bands that were really quite different, style-wise and musically. Denny Carmassi is a much different style of drummer from DeRozier. Came out of Montrose, a heavy metal band. So it was just a different deal. We were way more professional, way more successful in the 80s. We did really some amazing things. 85 records sold 7 million copies. It's hard to do today.
Very hard to do today, and you don't see that often. Now there's probably that many.
And the 80s band got 4 Grammy nominations, and the 70s band never did.
Ah.
So it's a different level. A lot of people like the 70s band more, and it has more charming, a little more innocent thing to it. But the 80s band should get its due as well, because the band was really successful and made some pretty popular music.
A lot of the 70s music from Heart is mostly played on classic rock stations also.
Yeah, it's true.
In its classic way of looking at it. And you made a solo album, Secret Weapon, in 2009. Is this your first solo album?
Yeah. Better late than never.
Why did it take you that long to make one?
Well, I've always been in a band. I'm a band guy. I'm always the guitar player in the band, and I never really thought about doing my own project. I've done a lot of recording on my own. I've done some movie music and I do some classical stuff on my own, but I never really wanted to make a record to release myself. And some friends of mine started a label, and they asked me if I'd make a record, and I thought about it. I thought, I probably should. It's been all these years. I've been recording for such a long time. I've never really done a record myself, and so it was a lot of fun because except for the drums, I did all the other tracks, played all the other instruments. So it was kind of fun to be kind of like a painter, where the tape is an empty canvas, and I can put whatever I like. And so that was a lot of fun, having total control over your work that way and doing it like that.
Any plans on making another one, like in the near future also?
Already started.
Already started, so now it's gonna
Yeah,
continue going.
Three tracks. I have 3 tracks already.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I'm writing and recording at the same time. I'm trying to write some more stuff. I was working on a new thing today, this morning actually, here in Malibu.
And these are recorded in your home studio, I take it?
Yeah, I do it right here. So it's really great. It's like having a little studio in your house, and I work when I feel like working and when I think I can do good work. Some days you play great, and other days you're not so great. So I only record on the days that I'm playing great.
Of course, that's the best way to do it.
Hey, I want to tell you, I did a gig about 3 or 4 weeks ago here in Hollywood. It was a benefit for a friend of mine's daughter had some big problems when she was born, and so there was some expensive medical bills. So we tried to raise some money for him. So we did a benefit at the Hollywood Palace, a really classic Hollywood venue.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my little fun band that I was telling you about with Myron Grumbacher. But we had a guest keyboard player. We had Keith Emerson play with us.
Wow.
And it was cool. We did Touch and Go by Emerson, Lake and Powell, and Fanfare for the Common Man, the Aaron Copland piece. Keith's unbelievable. That was a lot of fun to play with him. My band enjoyed it.
I'm sure also that was a treat for the audience.
Yeah, he doesn't play around that much lately, and boy, he's so good. He's just really, really a great player. He sends me an orchestration on an email that he's written in his own hand.
Really?
Of Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man. It's like, here, pass this around to your rock and roll guys and see who can read music. It's pretty challenging stuff, but it was really, really fun to learn that stuff with him and play it live. He had a great time too.
Right on, and you had your 3 Marshall stacks there.
No, I just only brought one because a bunch of other people were playing as well. It wasn't like a regular concert. It was a benefit show. The guys from Foreigner played, and a bunch of different people played.
Also, when you go with little amps, let's say you're playing at your home, what's your little amps you play through? I'm sure you're not always playing with Marshalls.
No. For recording, I have a really old Marshall JTM 45, like 1964 or so. It's a 45 watt. That sounds nice through a 212 cabinet. You don't really need to run 412s. You're probably only going to mic one or two anyway. So I have a really great 212 cab, about 1972, a checkerboard Marshall 212 with a closed back. That sounds good for recording. So a variety of heads through that. I have the second Soldano amp ever made, number 2. That was my main hard amp in the 80s. That's a really good recording amplifier. It's still 100 watts, but I have a variety of little Fender amps, but I usually only use those for clean sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my dirty stuff is either a Marshall or a Soldano.
And this is stuff you acquired in the past, long time?
Yeah. Although I'm waiting for the new PRS amp. Paul makes a beautiful amp now, and I haven't gotten one yet, but I'm looking forward. I've played it a few times at PRS events that I do with Paul, and he's made a really good sounding amp, but I haven't gotten a chance to get one to record with yet, but I probably will this year, hopefully.
How long have you been playing Paul Reed Smith guitars?
Since 1980. Yeah. He made me the Golden Eagle in 1980, and in the last year, we made 100 copies of it, and out of the private stock division, and we sold 100 copies of my original guitar. It was the first PRS with a maple top.
Wow. In your name.
Yay.
That's awesome.
That was fun, yeah, and they're beautiful guitars, too. A lot of people think it's the nicest guitar he's ever made, so I'm pretty proud of those.
Let's say Barracuda, what guitar are you playing on that?
That's my original old Telecaster. It's a 1966 Telecaster with a Bigsby vibrato, so that whammy stuff is a Bigsby.
Wow. And
I'm playing through a 56 Fender 410 Bassman, an old Tweed Bassman, and I'm running into both channels, and they're both on 12. I use a little Y box and go into both channels. And so it's a 66 Tele and a 410 Bassman.
See, a lot of people wouldn't imagine that, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's all I had when I joined the band. Magic Man, Crazy on You, Straight On, all those songs. That's all that same rig. That was my live rig too.
Do you still have that guitar?
Of course.
Awesome.
And the amp, absolutely. Grand total investment $300 for the amp and the guitar.
Wow, and today's priceless.
Well, they took me a long way, that's for sure.
Great stuff. They brought you fame and fortune in your career.
Well, visiting lots of nice places, too.
That's too good.
Where are you calling me from?
I'm calling you from Nova Scotia, Canada.
Nice. It's beautiful up there.
When's the last time you toured in Nova Scotia?
I was there with Ann Wilson. God, we played for like 55,000 people at a big outdoor deal. Probably 96. We did one in New Brunswick, and we did one somewhere else in the Maritimes. I can't remember well, but I remember we went into Nova Scotia. I've been there a few times with Hart.
When are you coming back to Nova Scotia?
Anytime. Hey, I used to live in Vancouver for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So I know my Canadian, yeah. I was a landed immigrant, eh? Lived in the West End, Vancouver, a long time. That's where we started all the trouble, in Vancouver.
And where am I calling you?
I'm in Malibu, California.
Okay, you're in California.
On the other corner of the continent.
You're 4 hours earlier.
Yeah, I'm way over here in the West, and you're way out east.
Yeah, right now it's cold and you're probably warm.
No, it's been actually kind of chilly. When I took the boys to school this morning, it was 39, but it warms up like 50 or 60. And we did have some warm days not too long ago, but we've had some big storms lately. We've had some big rain, and there's mudslides. And I'm looking right now across the valleys, and I can see snow on the mountains from my house in Malibu. Yeah, I can see big, fresh snow. Just came down yesterday or the day before. So it's winter, but it's not like your winter.
No, it's not like this winter here,
No,
but...
It's not like I'm wearing a jacket or anything.
No, you're probably all comfortable out there.
We do have great weather here. It's fantastic.
Right on. How long have you been living in California?
I've been here 10 years.
Okay.
But I lived in Vancouver for 8, and I lived in Seattle for 25 years or so. So I've usually lived in the north, but I'm from here, and so eventually I moved back home. Yeah, man.
All right, we'll keep in touch.
All right, likewise, you too. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.